In the world of Monster Hunter, there are many ways players do quests, whether it's farming a monster, gathering resources, or to have an engaging fight against a particular monster. But what if we could only do quests once? I am Reaver Jolt, and today, we'll be finding out if it's possible to beat Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate by doing quests only once. Now before we get started, let's go over the rules of the challenge. Once you legitimately complete a quest, you cannot do it again. You must play solo, no glitches or exploits. To beat the challenge, you must either beat the final boss of G rank or the final boss of single player mode. The main reason I'm not counting subquests as completing a quest is because when you complete the actual quest, you get a check mark next to it. And because ending a quest via subquest doesn't actually complete it, we can do it again as long as we only do subquests. The reason I chose both G rank and single player final bosses is because one could argue that there isn't a set way to actually beat the game. So for this challenge, I chose the single player final boss to beat, because 1, this allows me to get this video out faster, and 2, I'll make a like goal at the end of this video in case you guys want me to do the G rank version at some point in the future. I'll also leave a straw poll in the description of this video so you guys can vote on which challenge I listed that you guys want me to do next. With all that out of the way, let's get into the challenge. Our first major quest is a Great Makoa. Not much to say due to this one being a standard quest other than not being able to repeat it. I decide to use the aerial gun lance because I love using it and never get to use it much. Next, I do some gathering in the dunes to get fire herbs for an upgrade. After that, we go after Gendrum, which again was pretty standard for a beginning playthrough, but of course we cannot do this quest again. Next was Cephadrome, which once again was a standard quest. After that was Tetsukabra. After taking it down, it's only gonna get hard from here, friends. You'll see what I mean in a bit. Our next target was Yankaku. This is the point where I had different armor going into this. You'll see my armor change throughout the video. Yankaku was a little annoying to deal with as he would spit fireballs a bunch and I would block his attacks when my health was low. But other than that, he wasn't hard. Daimyo Hermitar is up and he wasn't difficult as it was easy to get some mounts as well as knocking him down. Nibblesnarf was kind of easy as forcing him halfway out of the ground doesn't take much effort. However, when I tried to trap him with pitfalls, it wasn't working. I couldn't believe that after all my experience with him in 3 Ultimate, I never knew he was immune to pitfall traps. This caused me to faint and have to chase him around, which was annoying, but I managed to beat him without having to capture. Royal Ludroth was kind of annoying as he would inflict water blight, but after bouncing off his claws, we come out with the win. Gypsyros was very annoying to deal with because of being poisoned a bunch, but after doing an epic jump to knock him out of the air and doing aerial attacks, Gypsyros is down. Malfestio was surprisingly less annoying than I anticipated. Even when he inverted my controls, it was easy to get mounts and knock him over. After capturing him, this quest is done. Rathian wasn't very difficult for me other than a few tail smacks here and there, plus poison. But after a bit, she's captured. Nargacuga actually took a while because I was taking a lot of damage and I'm not used to fighting him with aerial gunlance, but after a bit, he goes down. Najarala was pretty easy to keep getting mounts on and knocking him over. After taking him down, we go after not 1, but 2 Kezus. Fighting them both at once was interesting to say the least, mostly because they kept spamming their breath attack. But after separating them, one goes down, I faint, and then the next. Shogun Senator is up. This one was really annoying considering he's my favorite of the crabs. He kept inflicting bleed and actually fainted me despite me blocking, but after coming back, he gets captured. You see how hard this is starting to get now? In the average playthrough, you would take the time to repeat a certain quest to farm a particular monster for an armor set. But in this challenge, we can't exactly do that as we have to hope we get enough parts for something to add to our arsenal. But unless you come across a certain subquest that allows you to hunt a particular monster, you'd be hard pressed to try and get good gear. After taking down Yangaruka, we find a quest that we can do to farm materials needed for some upgrades without actually having to complete it. Normally we have to earn 1,000 Academy points, but all we had to do was gather a bunch of needed materials, hunt down the Iodrome, and via subquests, rinse and repeat. After that, we take on Lagiacrus. He was kinda hard to deal with due to the amount of thunder attacks we took, but after getting a capture, our next target was Rathalos, who was difficult and easy at the same time like he usually is. Urgan is next, and the fight was pretty tedious not because he was hard, but because it was way longer than it should have been. Or at least it felt that way. Either way, we beat it nonetheless. There was one thing I completely forgot. I was supposed to do some other quests in order to progress to unlock the Fated 4. So without going into too much detail, these are the monsters that I had to hunt in order to progress. Philosodraome, Bulldrome, Arzuros, Yankaku, Kezu, and Royal Ludroth in order to access the Fated 4. And speaking of the Fated Four, Astalos was first and he was challenging and had me at a few close calls. But other than that, we take it down. After that, we go after Gammoth, who was easy to cheese with aerial gunlance. Mizutsune, on the other hand, took a little longer to take down as it's kinda hard to use aerial attacks on him. And then Glavenus, traitor to the Fated Four, cough cough. This fight went smoother than I thought it would considering how hard he hits. But after doing some mount cheese, we beat this quest. Now some would consider this the end of the run, but it's not because this is MHGU. So we continue with the challenge and go through the quests we need to unlock high rank. Now there was one minor detail I didn't take into account when going into this challenge. Upgrade requirements. Now normally when you go after a certain set of armor from a specific monster, you farm that monster over and over again until you get enough materials for upgrading armor. But since we can't repeat quests normally, we have to hope we get enough stuff to upgrade. So in order to get to high rank, we complete Gormagala, Zinogre, Tigrex, Seregios, Brachidios, and finally Shigaru Magala. After that, we make our way to high rank. We go to the Ruined Pinnacle to do our first high rank quest, Kongalala. He wasn't very hard even when we had low rank armor. After taking down this fart bag, we continue on. It was at this point I had to figure out how to get the materials to upgrade my gun lance. It requires 2 Wyvern Gems and 2 Monster Broth. I was looking it up and the monster that had the highest chance of giving Wyvern Gems, at least later on, is Gravios. He has an 8% chance of one being obtained from a carve. Let's hope we can get that 8% chance when we get there. As for the Monster Broth, there's only one option, Celtis. There is a way we could possibly cheese this. I do know about that one quest you can do to get more Monster Broth, but at this point in the game there's no time. The best we can do is break the horn and hope we get it. So we go in and collect a shiny drop and oh, we got one. We break the horn, end via subquest, and get our second broth. After that, we actually complete the quest this time in order to progress. I'm actually going to skim through some of the monsters we fought unless there's something worth mentioning. We hunted Gaiadrome, Baroth, Tetsukabra, Gypsaros, Royal Ludroth, and Daimyo Hermitar. Now when we hunted Nursilla, it was surprisingly frustrating to deal with as he was doing a lot of damage. Now of course I had low rank Euron, but this took way longer than it should have. After taking down everyone's favorite spider, we hunt Rathian and Basarios. Now I was thinking about farming Nargacuga for the full armor set as there's a quest where you normally have to slay Great Thunderbugs, but there's a subquest that allows us to hunt Nargacuga. When I actually did go into the hunt, I realized one problem. While we can hunt Nargacuga like normal, no matter where we go on the map, there's always Great Thunderbugs trying to fight you, and Nargacuga can deal damage to them, thus making it risky to keep doing this quest. Plus, Great Thunderbugs are kind of annoying. So by doing this quest, we actually risk completing it, killing our chances of doing it again. However, after completing the subquest, I quickly learned that the armor isn't that worth it because each piece is 40 defense, which isn't worth it for us as we run Gunlance. I did eventually get the helmet after hunting an Arzuros from a normal quest, Harvestor, and another quest that it invaded. After that, we hunt Nibblesnarf, Plesioth, although I say he made me waste all my Sonic Bombs, Lavasioth, a long tedious fight against Uragan, although I did get 1 Wyvern Gem, and Zamtrios. After that, we hunt Gravios, and when I hit the reward screen, I didn't see any Wyvern Gems. I thought I would be stuck with an upgraded Gunlance, but then I looked and there happened to be another Gravios quest. So I completed that, and when I hit the reward screen, I got not 1, but 3 Wyvern Gems. I ended up with more than I needed, but wow, that was a blessing. So now I was finally able to upgrade the Gunlance further, and then I went to gather more Fusium ore to get it even further. At this point, it's the highest upgrade we can get. After that, we hunt Rathalos, Zinogre, although he gave me the hardest time throughout this whole run, and Tigrex. Then we hunt the Fated Four once again. Lovely. After hunting a Gormagala, we take on our semi-final quest, Barioth. It was at this point that we were neck and neck battling it out. This was actually an enjoyable hunt. After we capture him, the quest is done. And finally, the final boss of single-player mode, Valstrax. This is my final armor set going into this. It literally has no active skills that are useful. Let me tell you, this was one of the most intense hunts I've ever had, mostly because my deadline for this video was at stake, so I was in full focus going into this. Although I did faint once, and the second time I was low on health and panicked trying to get to the next area to heal safely, but the entrance was the other way and I was Superman diving like a madman trying to get away, and just when I thought I survived loading into the next area, I actually died. Yeah, apparently that can happen. So I was down to 1 life, but I wasn't about to give up. I fought hard, throwing everything I had at him. Then I woke him up with bombs, which, to my surprise, didn't finish him. So the fight continued and I nearly died, but I used the Farcaster to get out of there. That was a close one. Then after climbing back up, I used bombs again, and he still didn't go down. Then after that, this happens. We survived and took down Valstrax. It's time to answer the question. Is it possible to beat Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate by only doing quests once? The answer is yes.